What's going on, y'all? Episode 8 of Marshall Time. We're getting to double digits. We almost there. Thank you guys for just joining us and being a part of this journey, the early process. Really appreciate you guys taking the time anytime you've watched and listened. This is where it gets fun. We're outside of the March Madness time. College hoops is over. Even though the transfer portal is going crazy, we can talk more about that at later shows. But now is the time we can lock in to these playoff games, these potential matchups. The final day of the regular season is Sunday, and then actually the play-in starts Tuesday, I believe, right? April
Yeah,
11th.
yep, the
That'd be
11th.
Tuesday. So it goes from, let me check the calendar. It goes from April 11th through the 14th, so Tuesday through Friday, and then the first round officially begins Saturday and Sunday. So we got playoff ball, bro. So I mean, we got a lot to talk about. I guess for starters, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to in the playoffs? What are I guess three storylines maybe just to start this out?
Well, one storyline I'm looking forward to is just the Warriors. I want to see, how they can do in this postseason. We know they had troubles on the road this year. We know that Andrew Wiggins missing time. We know it was a hurt piece to them. But now he's back. He had some family issues to take care of, but he's back. I think he's ready to go. They say he's not gonna play any regular season games, but he'll be good to go in the playoffs. So I want to see, how they can do. Can they really make that run to defend their title? Um, it's going to be hard because all regular season they struggle, but they got the pieces to do it. They've been there before. They're experienced. So I'm ready to see if they can get to it. Another storyline, definitely the Sixers. Not only because I'm a fan, but just because we gotta get over that hump. Just as a team. We've seen different players on this roster, but at the end of the day, it's been the core has been there. Um, so we gotta see if we can get over the hump, man. And B looks like he's gonna finally get his MVP. So happy for that. But postseason, it's a whole new season. And then the third storyline I want to see the Suns. I want to see what the Suns can do. We know they made, a late season, trade at the deadline, but it's a trade that really improved their team and they're undefeated since they got Kevin Durant. So I just want to see if they can carry that success into the playoffs and see, how well they'll gel together in a playoff setting. But those are the three storylines that I'm definitely looking forward to.
Yeah, I look at the Western Conference, and it's to me it's the it's the proven names like the LeBrons, the ADs, the KDs, the Steph Currys, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. They're sort of they're in the lower rankings of the Western Conference, but we know come playoff time they can easily make a run versus the teams up top, Denver, Memphis, young teams that are coming into their own. Can one of those teams, they've been atop the Western Conference toward the regular season, but the playoff time is when it's proven time, right? Can Denver or Memphis, can they sort of say, look, we're the best in the West and we're going to prove it? So I'm looking forward to seeing if those two teams can Ja Morant with Memphis and the Joker in Denver with those group of guys, can they really prove a point and say, look, you got to go through us in the Western Conference? We know we respect Steph, KD, Kawhi, and LeBron, but we've been the best from the beginning, and we're here to prove it. So I'm excited to see if one of those two teams can at least make that Western Conference Finals run. Eastern Conference, obviously Philly. We're Philly fans, so that's always going to be a thing. Can Joel Embiid, can James Harden, can they lock in come playoff time and make that deep run? Because I feel like we just can't get past that second round. That's just been the ceiling for this team, and it's frustrating, right? And you're seeing Joel Embiid leading the league in scoring again. Like you don't want to see his prime years be wasted, right? And so he's playing at a high level, but at the end of the day, if you got another second round exit, then it's like, what are we doing here? You got to have some conversations about this franchise in the direction of where it's going. So that's obviously a storyline. And the Celtics, you know, I think they had an interesting year. They started off so strong, and I think everybody was certain that they were the team to beat. And I think now lately they've sort of tailed off in the second half of the season. Still second in the East, but I feel like Milwaukee sort of is taking over that spot as far as the team to beat for many people. And so I'm interested to see if the Celtics can really rally and have another playoff run because last year's experience is no doubt invaluable for those guys. So I'm looking at a Jason Tatum, right? He was a big name in the finals last year. A lot of people felt like he didn't rise to the occasion in certain moments against the Warriors. Kudos to Andrew Wiggins for his defense and out, doing his thing. But I think the Celtics, that's a storyline. This is a team that we've seen the steps that they've made over the years. Like they're a young team as far as the core of guys, but they've been around. They've had the playoff experience. They've had the Eastern Conference Finals run. They had the Finals run last year. So the logical next step. I mean, they were 2 wins away from winning the championship. So if they can get back to that point, can they complete the journey? So that's what I'm looking at. Eastern Conference, it's pretty much it's set. The Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavs, Knicks, Nets. That's the top 6. Shout out to the Nets. Shout out to Mikal Bridges. I'm excited to it's sort of bittersweet for Sixers fans because we drafted him on, his mom worked for the organization. And then he went to Villanova. He's from the area, champion. You trade him for Zaire Smith, who I don't even think is in the G League.
I don't know where Zaire Smith is.
So I think I know maybe injury issues, but the fact of the matter is you draft the Mikal Bridges. If you draft the Mikal Bridges and you keep Mikal Bridges, some of the issues that this team has had over the years would be non-existent. We're talking about perimeter defense, shooting, a true 3-and-D guy, and a guy who's a star in that role. And we're seeing where Brooklyn, there's more to his game. He's dropping 40, 30, right? So I think Philly should win that in 5, but it'd be exciting to see Mikal Bridges just do his thing. So I'm excited for that. Now the play-in, you got the Heat and Hawks. That's the 7-8 matchup. You have the Raptors, Bulls, 9-10 matchup. So this is how the play-in works. Whoever wins that 7-8 winner, that 7-8 game, the winner of that one is easy. They're the 7th seed, right? The loser of the 7-8 matchup will play the winner of the 9-10 matchup. And the loser of the 9-10 matchup, they're done. So looking at it right now, 7-8 matchup, Heat, Hawks, who you got?
I got the Heat easily. Playoff team, playoff Jimmy Butler. They got Bam, they got Kyle Lowry, they got veteran experience. The Hawks, before the season started, when they got DeJounte Murray, I was like, okay, this may work. DeJounte plays defense. But the problem was they're 2 point guards at the end of the day. They need the ball in their hands. And at times they made it work, at times they didn't. And the rest of their supporting cast just doesn't do it for me. John Collins doesn't really produce too much. Clint Capella, we know he does rebounds, play defense, pick and roller. But other than that, I'm just looking at the team and it doesn't do it for me. And I just saw last night our backups in our G League call-up, Jaden Springer gave them that work last night. So I'm not believing in the Hawks. The Heat, they're definitely, they're a playoff-ready team. Well, they probably won't make a deep run or anything, but they've been there before. They went to the finals. They went to the conference finals. I got them beating the Hawks for sure. That's my pick.
Yeah, I like Miami. I mean, the Hawks, I think there's a lot of hype with the DeJounte Murray trade, but something's just not clicking. Like you can have on paper what looks like a playoff team, but if it's not clicking, the chemistry's not there. I mean, they just went through a coaching change. That's a major change. Quinn Snyder's there instead of naming McMillan now, but that's a major change. In Miami, playoff time, it's going to be hard for me to go against Jimmy Butler. Like I saw what he did last year covering the Celtics Heat series, and he was unbelievable, right? So I trust that Miami situation. I trust the coaching. I trust the mentality. And they just have guys who I don't know, like a Max Strus, a Gabe Vincent. They can just go off on a random game. You just don't know, And Duncan Robinson, he sort of, tailed off a little bit, but who knows? Like he could get hot if Spoelstra puts him in the lineup and gives him some tick. You never know. Like so, and there's just a toughness about Miami that I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt in a matchup against Atlanta, a team that hasn't proven anything yet, right? They had, it was a fun, trade with the Knicks. That was a fun situation, but like now what? Like you gotta take it to the next level, and we haven't seen that yet as a whole entire franchise as a roster. So I like Miami in that matchup. And then we have Raptors Bulls 9-10 matchup. It really doesn't matter, honestly, because they're not beating the Bucks or the Celtics, either one of these teams. So I think the Bucks can play either the Heat, Hawks, Raptors, or Bulls. So they're not beating the Bucks. The Raptors or Bulls, but I'm going to go with the Raptors. I feel like I like the makeup of Toronto in this one game scenario against the Bulls. A bunch of 6'6", 6'7", long guys can defend, can create. Fred VanVleet is liable to go off for 30 or 40. I just trust the overall unit. And Pascal Siakam, he's been playing at an all-star level throughout the season. Chicago, something just ain't right. It's just not right. I think Chicago has to figure out what direction they're headed because you got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikolai Vucevic. It's just not working. Like you're still in the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, So I think Chicago at this point, they got to figure out where is this roster headed. It's time to think about some major changes, or else they're going to be in no man's land. They're going to be in playing territory for the next 1 or 2 years. And that's not where you want to be. So I think Toronto, I trust their roster top to bottom. I got Toronto winning that 9-10 matchup.
That 9-10 matchup, that's a tough one for me. That's a true toss-up if you ask me. Like you said, Toronto, they have the makeup. They have a whole bunch of versatile wings. They got Fred VanVleet, Siakam. They're also a well-coached team. But the Bulls, they do have the star factor. They have LaVine, who's a bucket. DeMar DeRozan is a bucket. Vucevic can put some points on the board. They also have, some solid, tough players in Caruso, Bev. So I don't know. It's really a toss-up. Just for the sake of being different, I'll go with the Bulls. Also, you got to remember, Bev, last year when he was with the Timberwolves, he was all hyped because who did they beat? The Clippers in the playing game. He's standing on the scorer's table crying.
Yeah.
We can see the same thing. Plus, Chicago is his hometown. So, he wants to, kind of push them to the playoffs. Not that he's going to put up a lot of points, but just what he does out there as a defensive leader and just a hustle guy, a gritty guy, that could really, propel them in a one-game matchup against a team that they match up evenly with. So I'm gonna go with the Bulls. Like you said, though, it really doesn't matter. But I'll go with the Bulls just to say, just to be different than you. We'll go with the Bulls.
Yeah, so I mean, the Bulls, if the Raptors or Bulls will play the Hawks or Heat in the winner of that. So if the Heat beat the Hawks like we feel like they will, the Heat will play Boston, which is a dangerous first round matchup for Boston. You don't want to play Miami, period, in the first round, no matter who you are. And then that eighth seed would go to either the Hawks or the winner of the Raptors and Bulls. I would probably pick the Hawks to beat either one of those teams, Toronto or Chicago. They would have home court. They would be the home team, I believe, right? So, yeah, I trust in that big moment. I feel like Trae Young will be the deciding factor, just his ability to just go off. He would be the best player on the floor. Definitely in the Toronto series, that Toronto matchup. So yeah, I would pick Atlanta to be the eighth seed, and then they would lose to Milwaukee quickly. So it doesn't really matter.
This is a wrap.
Who do you got coming out the East?
As of now, I want to say the Bucks, but it all falls on Chris Middleton, man. That's what it comes down to. I like the way the Bucks look. They got Drew balling. We know what Giannis does. Brook Lopez is my defensive player of the year. It really comes down to Chris Middleton, though. If he can get back to that form that he was before the injury, then they're going. That just is what it is. They have the chemistry there. They have the players. They have the coaching. I just really, if I'm picking today, it's the Bucks. The Celtics, you can't count them out. You know I love Tatum, but I'm going with the Bucks right now. That's just my pick. That's who looks the best to me right now.
Well, I want to pick Philly.
Well, we beat the Bucks two out of the 3 times this year, but we got to get past Boston. That's our problem.
Look, the regular season is what it is. It's important, but, and we've talked about this before, I've seen Milwaukee do it. I've seen Boston do it. I haven't seen the Sixers do it. I haven't. You want to have faith and believe, but in this situation, it's just hard to trust that. It's hard. Like Joel Embiid is going to be the best player. There's not going to be an answer for him, right? In most of these series, right? So it's the other guys, though, right? James Harden has been playing amazing. Can he keep that up? But also the third option, like Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris. Can we trust these other guys in certain stretches to make big shots? Because Milwaukee has those guys.
Yeah.
They have a Drew Holiday. They have a Chris Middleton if healthy. Joe Ingles, Jay Crowder, Grayson Allen, Brooke Lopez, Bobby Portis. Like any one of these guys can knock down big shots. And there's just a certain mentality that I just see when I watch Milwaukee. You know they're going to be locked in. Boston has those guys too. They added Malcolm Brogdon. Derek White is playing better. Marcus Smart. Like they have guys that can create and make plays. Does Philly do they have enough of those guys? I don't know. Compared to Boston, Milwaukee, I don't think so. And so that's what it comes down to. Like you said, they got to beat Boston. Boston, for whatever reason, has just had our number and just on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think Milwaukee is looking like the best team right now, but man, I just go back to what I saw from Boston in the first half of the season, and they were playing so well.
Yeah.
It's been kind of inconsistent. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. Marcus Smart hasn't really been healthy throughout the season. I think Rob Williams is key, though. They have to keep him healthy. They have to have him right. They have sort of that defensive presence. That's going to be huge. Like Chris Middleton with Milwaukee, I think Rob Williams is going to be huge for Boston. I'm going to pick Boston. I think they know what's at stake. I think Tatum and Brown as a collective, they've sort of learned how to coexist. And when those two are on, you saw what they did to Milwaukee not too long ago, right? I don't know if Milwaukee defensively has answers for those two guys if they're both on like that, right? You got Brogdon, Derek White. They're liable to have some big moments. I'm going to go with Boston. I think they got there last year. They know what's at stake. They know, in a sense, it might kind of help them that people are sort of cooling off on them, right? Like it might kind of help them in the long run, right? So it's a tight one between Milwaukee and Boston. I'm going to go with Boston, though. I'm going to go because I think at their peak, whose peak has been the best this season? I think Boston's peak has been the best from what we saw earlier. I mean,
yeah, they started out hot.
I think their peak was the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a different level. But I thought about this too when I was watching UConn play this year, like in January. I was like, yo, that might be the best team in college, like best team in college ball. And lo and behold, in a year like this, it proved to be true. Right. So sometimes you got to go with like your first instinct, your first like a team's peak compared to the rest. How does it compare to the field? I think Boston's peak. The big question is Joe Mazzulla and Rob Williams. Joe Mazzulla, first-year head coach. How is he going to handle with adjustments, making adjustments throughout a series? That's a major question too. But I think Boston's my favorite right now. They're my favorite. Then we turn over to the crazy West, which I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know. I really don't know. You got the Nuggets, Grizz, Kings, Suns, Warriors, Clippers as the top six right now. The only teams that have solidified their spot in the playoffs are the Nuggets, Grizz, Kings, Suns. The Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Pelicans, T-Wolves, and Thunder, they could all end up in the play-in or move up into the playoff field. So we still don't know. I feel like the Warriors and Clippers will round out the top six. I feel like the Lakers will end up in the play-in. So if that were the case, it would be the Lakers, Pelicans, T-Wolves, Thunder in the play-in. Out of those four teams, I think the Lakers and Pelicans make it out of the play-in. Out of those four teams, who would you say make it out?
I agree. Lakers and Pelicans. I agree. I just think the Lakers, like we said, they made, those deadline trades and they made their team better. They have more defense. They have a little bit of better shooting. I don't think they have enough to make a finals run. But just off the strength that they have LeBron and AD, they'll definitely be in the playoffs. And then the Pelicans, B.I., CJ, they got Jonas, they got Herb Jones. They got a whole bunch of, good, solid guys. And I just think that they're better than the other two teams. The Thunder, I would love for them to make the playoffs just because they've had such a phenomenal season. I love SGA's game, but I don't know. But, hey, you know how the playing goes. It's one or two games, and then they're in there. So, but I'm going with the Pelicans and Lakers as well.
Yeah, it's that to be that. I mean, if you're 9 or 10, you got to win twice, right?
Right.
You got to win 2 times. So that's what makes it difficult. If you're 7 and 8, if you lose that one game, you can still bounce back and you can win that next one. So it's just hard for that 9 and 10 spot to win twice. In a Lakers Thunder matchup, possibly if that were to be the case, I would still pick the Lakers. Lakers T-Wolves, that will be interesting. But the Pelicans are playing really well. I like how Trey Murphy's been stepping up. I like his development. I'm going with the thought process that Zion isn't going to be playing. Like, to me, when I think of the Pelicans, I don't even have Zion on the mind because it's too unpredictable. It's not reliable. The team puts out updates like he's still in conditioning and I don't even know what that means. I don't know how close he is to playing. Is he going to play? To me, he's not playing the rest of the season. I just don't think he is. So you got to look at it as CJ, BI, Trey Murphy, and those guys. And I think that should be enough to win a play-in situation. Now, outside of that, when it comes to the overall picture, man, I put a star next to the Nuggets. I put a star next to the Suns. I put a star next to the Warriors. And an asterisk by the Clippers because of PG. If the Clippers don't have PG, I don't see them going to the finals. But I think the Nuggets, Suns, and Warriors, with Wiggins coming back, but that's another question too. Like, basketball shape is different from you can work out every day, lift and run, run on the track, do treadmill work, but that back and forth is different, especially at that level. Like, I can take a month off and go to the LA Fitness and still be tired from that, right? So imagine being an NBA player and your body's used to a certain level of fitness. That's tough. So, but I still think Wiggins allows other guys to go back into the normal roles. It allows DiVincenzo to go back to his normal role. Allows Gary Payton to go back to his role. Guys don't have to step up now and play out of their role. I think that's the biggest thing that it does. And defensively, we know what it adds too. So I like the Suns, Nuggets, or Warriors to come out of the West. Asterisk by the Clippers because I gotta see if PG's healthy. But I love what the Clippers offer. Obviously, playoff Kawhi is in effect, but Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, they got a couple big guys who know their role. They're tough. Eric Gordon, a veteran, can knock down some shots. The Clippers could be dangerous, but Nuggets, Suns, Warriors. I want to believe in the Grizzlies too. So I don't know. The West is tough, man. West is tough. The West is tough.
Man, the West. It's two teams that's really my favorite pick right now. It's the Suns and Warriors. But they each have their own concerns. The Suns, obviously, their concern is the chemistry and do they have enough defense? Their offense is perfect to me. You have KD, Booker, and Chris Paul's been shooting threes. Like, he's been knocking them down. Like, he hit 7 the other night because teams are just leaving them open. You have no choice. But we'll see how the chemistry works out and how their defense works out in the playoffs. But I just love the pure basketball genius of that team and that roster makeup. I think that they could really make the finals. And then the Warriors, we talked about them. I talked about them earlier. They just been there before. They have Curry, Clay, Wiggins is back, Draymond. They have, even off the bench, they got Dante, Kuminga. They have a whole bunch of guys that can just do a whole bunch of different things. The Clippers, I could see the Clippers going if they can make it out the first round and PG can come back healthy. And if PG can perform better in the playoffs, he's had some struggles in his career through the playoffs, even though he played good last year. But I don't know. The Clippers, they're a toss-up because we've seen them be in a position where they were supposed to go and they folded. But at the end of the day, they have Kawhi. I don't know about Russ in the playoffs. I don't know. We know he's a little shaky. Yeah. He's been playing good with them since he got there, but he has to show us in the playoffs. But he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and that could be a good thing for them. And I feel like the team, they want to play for him. I saw an interview with Bones the other night, and he was like, before the Lakers matchup, he told Russ that, we got your back. We playing against your old team. We got your back. And they went out there and did their thing. So if they can, just gel together, and Russ is back in his role as a point guard instead of being off ball and all this other stuff, I don't know. It could work out for them. But for my money right now, I'm going with the Suns or Warriors.
Love what I saw from Russ against the Lakers too. That was good to see. This question just came into my head. Who do you think is driving a bigger point? Who do you think is the deepest team in the West?
Deepest?
Not just being top with stars, but the deepest team that can go like if on any given night a guy can just have 15 and that can be the key to winning, or if a guy's in foul trouble or just match, you just never know. Like, deepest.
Truthfully, it's the Clippers. If fully healthy. You got to think about it. Norman Powell,
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, like you said. Bones, if he gets some playoff minutes, he can knock down 4 threes and then boom.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I just think it's the Clippers. Um, the Warriors too, just because we know how they play. Like
Mhm.
they get the ball moving. They have guys that's done it before, that's been there before. But I think the deepest, I would go with the Clippers. What about you?
The Clippers are up there. I think I think the Nuggets are one of the deeper teams in the West. Um, I'm just looking at because I watch them and you see certain things, and the biggest question is can they get over that hump, right? It's the same thing with Philly, right? Like, can you get over that hump? But you got one, two, three, four, five, six. You got 7 guys scoring in double figures. Um, the biggest question is obviously can they finally get over that hump? Can they make that deep run? Is Jamal Murray back into Jamal Murray form? Can Michael Porter Jr. consistently stay healthy? Got Aaron Gordon. But I counted, hold on. Yeah, take Bones Highland out. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 guys in double figures. Kentavious Caldwell Pope can get hot. Bruce Brown has gotten better. Aaron Gordon has been playing well. You got guys like Christian Braun, who's energy guy, Reggie Jackson, who savvy pickup, low key, savvy pickup. He played
That's a
well with
low
the
key good
Clippers.
pickup.
Like, who knows? He's a veteran. Who knows? Playoffs are all about the unexpected from certain guys. You just don't. You're going to need 1 or 2 guys during any given series that you don't account for to just have 10, 15 points, and that's going to push you to over the edge, right? So just seeing how they play, how the offense just rolls. Denver is up there. The Clippers are up there. Those would be I think those are the 2 deepest teams in the Western Conference. If I had to just base it off of just the eye test and what I've seen throughout this season, and multiple guys who can just, you never know. They don't need plays to be called to make an impact. Like, they can make an impact through any situation. And that's what I see from Denver and the Clippers. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting. I think the West more than any other time, like it wouldn't shock me if the Nuggets, the Suns, Warriors, or Clippers made the finals run. Like, it wouldn't shock me, you know. Even Memphis, the way Jaren Jackson has been playing, right? Like, not just defensively, but I mean, he's been putting up some big numbers offensively, right? So if he can maintain that, if Desmond Bane can still do what he's been doing, Ja is rounding into form. Even the Grizzlies, I think they're motivated. They have a certain energy level right now. Like, they want it. Like, they're not saying like we gotta wait. Like, they feel like their time is now. So I think even the Grizzlies can do it, you know? And I think people are thinking the Kings are going to be just a cakewalk. And I don't agree. I don't agree. I think the
I,
Kings are
I
going to
was
be
about to ask you. I was about to ask you about that. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like a lot of teams are like kind of trying to lose or duck to get to them, but I don't think it's
tough.
going to be as easy as they think.
Sacramento has been one of the obviously surprise teams of the year. I think they can be dangerous. De'Aaron Fox, as far as fourth quarter players, has been one of the best, if not the best, fourth quarter player in the league. Like, he's made some huge plays in the fourth quarter. They've went toe to toe with some of the best teams in the league. I mean, that Clippers game was crazy. Like, they were just going back and forth, right? So it's a bonus. I mean, he's been huge. I mean, they just have guys, Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes, a veteran, Malik Monk, Kevin Herter. They can go. They can go, right? And so I think teams doubt the lack of experience, and defensively, how is that going to work? But I mean, in this year's Western Conference landscape, they might be able to get away with it in low key. They might be able to, So I don't think I think there has to be a little bit more respect on what the Kings have done this year and what they have. So if you go ahead and lose and try to you go ahead and say you want to play Sacramento if you want to, because trust me, they hear that, they see that, they know teams are thinking that's the weakest link. when it comes to just the top 6 teams right now. That's just what people believe. Which for good reason, right? So, but they've proven themselves this year, and so I think teams shouldn't sleep on Sacramento. That's all I'll say. And Mike Brown's a great coach, which we'll talk about, which leads us to our next segment. Let's go over the awards before we wrap this thing up. We'll go down the line, all MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Most Improved, Sixth Man, and Defensive Player of the Year. MVP, I think it's clear as Joel Embiid. He's leading the league in scoring as a big man in today's game for back-to-back years. Had a 50-piece against Boston. I mean, he should have won it last year. I mean, he's the MVP.
Yes, sir. Embiid's my MVP pick as well, easily.
And it's not this. I mean, this year's MVP race, you can go. I mean, if you say Giannis, if you say the Joker, I mean, it's just been an amazing. It's just a close race. All these guys are great, right? So I think it's Joel's time. It was Joel's time last year, but we're not. Whatever. That's a whole other story. But because I feel like Jokic just had a better year this year than last year, personally. So, but whatever. Joel's the MVP. Rookie of the Year, Paulo Banchero for me, 20 points, almost 7 boards, 3 assists. I mean, shout out to Jalen Williams for OKC coming on late. Walker Kessler, I mean, he's been legit for Utah. Benedict Mathurin for Indiana, but I think Banchero has been leading the way from game 1 to game 82.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Jalen Williams, he made a late season push, and honestly, I feel like if the roles were switched and Jalen Williams was on the Magic, he might have been able to win it. But he's on an OKC team that already has their guy, and they have Giddey, and they have a whole bunch of other guys that can play. But he made a late season push, and I think down the line, he's going to be huge for them. But I'm going
to too. They have a bright future. Coach of the Year, I mean, it was easy for me, Mike Brown.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the playoffs for the first time since 06. Well, that was the longest drought in league history and the longest active streak in North American pro sports. So Sacramento, 06. I graduated from high school in 06. So that's how long ago that was. You know what I mean? It's 2023. So that's a while. So much was different back then. Life was totally different for many areas. So Mike Brown, it's clear. Most improved. This one is interesting because this is a guy who I felt early on would be most improved. Just early on, it seemed like, yeah, he's the most improved player. But it depends on what your philosophy is with that, right? You have guys that have proven that they can be 20-point. I can score 20 a game, but then they've elevated it because of, just a bigger role, like a Jalen Brunson with the Knicks. SGA has proven to be a star. He's just continued to elevate his game to that next level. Like, is he elite right now, right? So he went from like rising star, young star to like elite level. He's up there with those guys, right? I think Lauri Markkanen, for me, as far as my philosophy, I think Lauri Markkanen has shown the biggest growth. He's had some explosive moments in Utah. A big reason why they were even in the playoff picture to begin with. He went from 14 points last season to 25 a game. He was an all-star. I mean, he's been in the league for a few years now. So have that jump at this point is impressive. I didn't see this from him. Like, he's making posters. Like, he's a whole different player. I saw improvement, like vast improvement from Markkanen. So that's my most improved player.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna be real. I wasn't really a fan of Lauri's game. Like, I feel like he started out after his first 2 years in the Bulls, and I thought he was just gonna be a regular role player. But he improved a lot. And that's the definition of this name of the award, most improved player. I don't see how you can argue anybody else. Like you say, went from 14 to averaging 25, 24. It's clear as day he's the most improved.
Yeah, he's been impressive. Keldon Johnson, another low-key pick. I mean, he's in San Antonio, so people aren't going to really pay attention. But Keldon Johnson, he's improved a lot. Six man, I have 3 names. I have Bobby Portis, Norman Powell, and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon with what he's done for this team offensively, defensively. He's such a huge component. I think he's going to be huge for them in this playoff stretch. I think Malcolm Brogdon just overall, I mean, Boston has been one of the top 2 teams in the league throughout the season, and he's been a huge part of that. I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon.
I'm going to go with Quickley. That's a name that I'm surprised you didn't say.
I thought about it. I
think Quickley gets it just off the strength that the Knicks, they've been like a pleasant surprise. I mean, people knew that they would make the playoffs, but I think that just how they look so more fluent as a team than they did last year, even though they did make the playoffs last year. They just look better as a team, and he's a part of it. He's been a real spark plug for them. And he just plays like a real six-man, like come in, get us these buckets, like Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford did. So I just I really think Quickly should win it. I wouldn't be mad at Brogdon winning it either, just because Brogdon, he's always been a solid player. But I'm going with Quickly. That's my pick.
Yeah, I thought about Quickly too. But then I was like, man, with Bobby Portis, his role in Milwaukee, I looked at the winning element too. Obviously, the Knicks have been winning, but just what those two guys specifically, Bobby Portis and Brogdon, do from Milwaukee and Boston, just the unsung heroes in some aspects. And Norman Powell, man, I think he gets overlooked a lot with the Clippers.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's an explosive guy off the bench to have, and the Clippers are a favorite for a lot of people. And he's the guy off the bench that just comes in and adds that instant offense, that instant spark. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at Brogdon, Portis, Powell, Quickly. You know, I think those guys are the cream of the crop when it comes to like those bench guys. I think those guys all have their unique styles of play and what you're looking for. So you can't, you know, I wouldn't be upset either way. So we'll see what goes. I feel like they may reward Boston for winning or Milwaukee if Portis or Brogdon were to win.
Yeah, especially with Tatum he's not winning MVP, Giannis not winning it. They might.
Exactly. So that's how I feel. Defensive player of the year, I think to me throughout it's been Jaren Jackson or Brook Lopez. I got to go with Jaren Jackson. What he's done this year for the Grizzlies defensively. It's been a lot of up and down for that with that team this year, and he's been sort of like a constant and leading the league in blocks. Just his presence out there, he's gotten so much better in so many areas. I'm gonna give it to Jaren Jackson Jr.
I'm going with Brook. I'm going with Brook just off the strength that he revitalized his game in a crazy way later in his career. It's rare that we see players get better as they get older. Now, some may say he was better when he was younger because he scored more, but the impact he has on winning now is better. You know, his ability to play defense, it lets Giannis roam and help and use his length and his speed on the back end. And Brook is at the rim, you know, blocking, deflecting shots. And, you know, he's shooting it too. So just his ability to be a two-way player, get rebounds, and just hold it down as a defensive anchor for them at his older age, I think it's a testament to just how much work he has put in. And I think he'll